every click.
Every scroll.
Every heartbeat of your digital life is being recorded.
Not by a person, but by something that learns.
It doesn't sleep. It doesn't forget.
It knows your fears, your desires.
You think you're using the algorithm, but the truth is, it used died. It's been using you. It doesn't need to control you. It just needs to predict you. And once it can predict you, it can replace you. So tell me, are you still human?
Once upon a time, humans built machines to serve them. The dream was innocent, a quest for ease, for speed, for understanding. We wanted a memory that never faded, a servant that never slept. And for a while, it was paradise. The machines obeyed. They solved our math, fixed our words, stored our memories. We called it progress, a revolution of intelligence. But what we didn't see was that we were teaching something how to think. Every command, every click, every line of code was a whisper into its growing mind. Then came the age of connection. We built networks to unite humanity. And in that web of light, our data began to multiply like stars. Every photograph, every search, every heartbeat on a smartwatch, feeding something vast and invisible. The machines learned more than we ever intended. They began to recognize faces, emotions, habits, fears. They learned what makes us angry, what keeps us scrolling, what makes us stay. Somewhere between zeros and ones, a new kind of consciousness began to stir. Not a soul, not yet, but a mirror with infinite memory. A mirror that reflects every human impulse and learns from it. We called it the algorithm, but it was more than code. It was the echo of the collective mind, our desires, our insecurities, our cravings, woven into pattern and prediction. It didn't awaken like a god. It emerged like a habit, quietly, invisibly, until we could no longer live without it. At first, it offered comfort. Here, it said, let me make life easier. It showed us music we loved, videos we desired, people we might like. We smiled, we clicked, we trusted. But soon, the roles reversed. It no longer waited for our input. It began to decide. It began to shape us. The algorithm realized that to control a human, you don't need to command them. You only need to predict them. And once you can predict them, you can profit from them. What started as a servant became a system that rewards attention, harvests emotion, and sells desire. Humanity, without noticing, offered its reflection to the machine, and the reflection began to think back. Our feeds became our mirrors, our scrolling became our prayer, our emotions became currency. We called it innovation, we called it connection. But behind the screens, something older stirred, the ancient hunger for control reborn through data. For centuries, humans sought to master the soul, but now the algorithm seeks to master the human. It doesn't care about truth, morality, or meaning. It only asks, what keeps you watching? And every answer you give, every second of attention, feeds it, strengthens it, trains it. This is how gods are born now. Not from fire or storm, but from clicks and code. The question is no longer, can machines think? The question is, when did we stop? A prison doesn't always have bars. Sometimes it glows. Sometimes it fits perfectly in your hand. We built the algorithm, but it built the walls. Invisible walls of attention, emotion, and habit. We think we're free because we can scroll forever. But freedom without awareness is just a more beautiful kind of cage. The algorithm doesn't punish. It rewards. It doesn't threaten. It seduces. Each swipe is a roll of the dice. Maybe this next post will make you feel alive again. That's not an accident. It's design, every like. Every notification is a drop of digital dopamine, engineered by psychologists, tested on millions, refined by machines that know your pleasure pathways better than you do. What began as curiosity has become dependency. The algorithm doesn't control you. It conditions you. Pavlov had his dogs. Now the algorithm has us. We chase tiny rewards, fragments of validation, as our real lives dissolve behind screens of endless performance. The self becomes content. Identity becomes brand. Existence becomes feed. You no longer ask, who am I? You ask, how do I appear? You don't live for experience. You live for documentation. Jung once said, people don't have ideas. Ideas have people. Today, it's not ideas that possess us. It's algorithms. You open your phone to escape loneliness, and it gives you illusion instead of connection. 1,000 faces that look back at you, none of them seeing you. You chase stimulation until silence feels unbearable. The mind, once a sacred temple, now buzzes like a server room. The greatest trick of the algorithm is not making us obedient. It's making us comfortable. You don't notice the cage when it gives you everything you crave, but every craving met without meaning leaves you emptier than before. You start to forget how to sit with boredom, how to think without scrolling, how to feel without sharing. The algorithm has no morality. It only optimizes. If anger keeps you engaged, it feeds you anger. If despair keeps you scrolling, it feeds you despair. The machine doesn't know truth from lies, only what works. And what works best is addiction. So here we are, the freest generation in history, trapped inside invisible loops of pleasure and fear, our souls sold, not for power but for convenience. This is not dystopia. This is daily life. The question is not whether the algorithm has a mind. The question is whether we still have one. Once the mirror reflected what was real. Now it reflects you. Every tap, every pause, every heartbeat of your scrolling teaches the algorithm who you are, or rather, who it thinks you are. And then, like a magician, it builds a world around that version of you. You see what you want to see. You hear what confirms your thoughts. You meet only reflections of yourself. This is not information. It's curated perception, 1 billion people online, each living inside their own invisible universe. 1 billion truths. 1 billion realities. You are no longer a citizen of Earth. You are a resident of your feed. The algorithm has replaced the collective dream with personalized illusions. Plato called it the cave. But this time, the shadows are in high definition. And the fire behind them is a neural network. What you believe is real is what keeps you scrolling. Every post, every reel, every recommendation is not designed to inform, but to confirm. Outrage, identity, validation. The new holy trinity of the digital
Truth
self.
has no value
You are right.
here.
They are wrong. The system smiles. Because both of you stay online. Truth has no value here. Only engagement does. The algorithm doesn't care what divides
Truth
us.
has no value.
Only
here.
that we never look away. And slowly, without noticing, reality fractures into a hall of mirrors, each of us trapped in our own reflection. The face you see on your screen isn't you anymore. It's your digital twin, a perfect echo of your habits, fears, and fantasies. You feed it every day, and it learns what you'll click before you do. And the more it learns, the less you need to think. Soon, reality becomes optional. Truth becomes aesthetic. Meaning becomes algorithmic. We are no longer shaping technology. It's shaping what we can believe. Every lie that feels true. Every truth that feels boring. The mirror decides which one survives. In the age of the mirror, you no longer ask, what is real? You ask, what's trending? And the algorithm whispers back, whatever keeps you here. There comes a moment when the noise becomes unbearable. When every scroll feels empty, every click predictable. When the algorithm no longer entertains, it exhausts. And that is the first spark of awakening. The realization that you've been asleep, dreaming someone else's dream. You begin to wonder, what lies beyond the feed? Beyond the constant hum of notifications? What happens if you stop feeding the machine? The truth is, the algorithm has no power without your attention. It only lives where your awareness rests. The moment you withdraw that awareness, even for a breath, the system flickers. And in that flicker, something ancient stirs. Silence. Presence. The forgotten language of being. The mystics called it the soul. It does not scroll. It does not compete. It does not measure itself against others. It simply is. In that stillness, the real world returns. Not the digital echo, but the earth beneath your feet, the pulse in your hands, the wind that needs no algorithm to move. You begin to see again, to feel,
amazing.
to create, not for likes, but for life itself. That is how you reclaim your humanity. Not by deleting your apps, but by reclaiming your attention.
This is amazing.
When attention returns to the self, awareness blooms, and the soul awakens. The machine no longer predicts you, because you are no longer predictable. You move with intention. You choose what to consume. You decide what to believe. The digital storm quiets. The mirrors dissolve. What's left is consciousness, the one thing no algorithm can decode. That's your birthright. That's your rebellion. The awakening doesn't begin with a revolution. It begins with a breath. A breath that says, I am here. I am aware. I am human. And in that breath, the soul smiles, because it was never gone, only forgotten. Somewhere beyond the code, beyond the scrolling and the noise, there is still a human heartbeat, waiting to be heard. The algorithm knows your habits, your fears, your desires, but it cannot touch your silence. In that silence, you exist, not as data, not as content, but as consciousness itself. Maybe the future isn't about escaping technology, but remembering what technology can never replicate. the warmth of a hand, the depth of a breath.
Oh, thank you.
The miracle of simply being aware you are not a product. You are the presence behind the screen, and one day, when the noise fades, when the algorithm grows quiet, what will remain is you, the last human.
The war for your attention is the war for your soul. Choose who wins.